Airbnb brings people into town. They're not just stopping off at the hotels at the interchange. They're not just stopping off at the Walmart at the interchange. They're coming into town. They get a real feel for what this community is like. And I think it's been a great opportunity to welcome them into our home and get to know them and give them a real feel for what our community is like.
If we're going to limit the ability for somebody to exercise their private property rights and rent out a room, then we better start looking at, let's just restrict all of the small businesses that are in people's homes. But I know you don't have that in mind, and I know you don't have the spine to do that because you know it's not right. So I think we need to be careful.
I hope our City Council will likewise protect residents' quality of life, as well as our town's character, safety, tranquility, and heritage. I ask the Council to do the right thing, even if it is contrary to the agenda of eager individuals who want to make money. Thank you.
There is a huge potential for economic growth. Money generated outside of our city, state, and even country has the opportunity to be spent locally in Rexburg. Those hosting Airbnb guests will most likely spend the extra income at local businesses, paying for school fees and funding other local events. With a constant flow of visitors to Yellowstone, BYU, Idaho, and other surrounding places, it would be foolish not to tap into these resources and keep them in Rexburg. If we don't accept them, others outside our town will.
Mary, quick question. One of the things I read, and I don't know if it's true because I haven't been able to verify it, but I read somewhere that Airbnb might not be able to do, or you might not be able to accept or reject guests based on some of the laws, of discrimination and things. But what do they say about that?
No, there are no rules or anything. I can reject a guest and it doesn't do anything to me, but I think there's further comment back here.
Is there a clarification on that?
Yeah, clarification. I just got an email about a week ago from Airbnb, because we have used Airbnb before, stating that very thing, that starting on November 1st, they were going to be having hosts do a more strict non-discrimination disclosure. Now, they didn't spell out exactly what that means and how that's going to affect people who are hosting, but I did get an email directly from Airbnb stating that they were going to be changing on November 1st their non-discrimination based on religion, race, sex, identity, like how you want to identify yourself, like 7 different things.
And I just wanted to start out actually, I supported this issue, and I'm sorry that it was so controversial. And actually, really, I think you guys are doing great, and I'm sorry you have to put up with this. But the reason that I supported Airbnb, it wasn't actually for property rights. It was actually because I have used it. I've been a guest and I've loved it. I've traveled the world. I've been to 19 countries and stayed at half of them in homes. I've seen how tourism can increase the economy of the town, make it more beautiful, make it more friendly. I've been able to share my beliefs with people. And I know that I might not be complying with all of your needs as a neighbor, but I'll tell you right now, that we closed our doors immediately because as soon as we found out that this was against the policies, and with that, and kind of apologize because I didn't want this to be a feud. I wanted us to come together and try to work together and maybe have a compromise. But it seems like everybody's like yes or no. And so I'll be the first to say that I'll be the first to give up whatever property rights that, as a neighbor, you might think that I have, because I want to be a good neighbor. I want to be great to live next to.
Just to give you a little scenario of a summer day. My yard doesn't happen to be fenced to the yard next door. It's very open community. People from our neighborhood walk through my yard. I know who they are, and it's fine. Because I know who they are. I know the caliber of the people. I know where they live. And it's a welcome, open area. But as I'm working in my yard one day this spring, someone came through that I didn't know. That they're carrying a duffel bag, and they're carrying suitcases, and they're going to the back door of a house that I didn't know was an Airbnb. And I wondered what they were doing, going into a home carrying a duffel bag of something. And I was like, who was in the neighborhood? What are they doing? It was that little bit of unsettlement, not knowing that this whole issue was even there. So it did change my private property rights of serenity in my neighborhood. And when my grandchildren came, I wasn't sure that I could just let them go on to that, because I didn't know who was going to walk through. And maybe that's a fear, but it's just something different that I hadn't had to experience in my local and my neighborhood.
I don't believe that the argument of private property rights is valid. Every single one of us is subject already to rules, laws, and ordinances.
We are opposed to Airbnb. Our association was created 11 years ago with the intent of preserving a quiet neighborhood. And now we have Airbnbs. They're all the rage. That's just fine. Rexburg is no exception. We understand. B&Bs have their place. But we also recognize that firmly established, long-standing neighborhoods lend stability to any city, while anything of a transient nature does the opposite. You can go home tonight and open a B&B. Rexburg's full of streets where you can open a B&B right now. Go for it. This is perfectly fine. We citizens look to the mayor and city council to champion our cause in the city. Their job is to keep the peace, to monitor the growth of both commercial and residential areas, and to protect the residents from untoward practices. They wouldn't allow a maverick in an appropriate spot. They should do the same with commercial B&Bs, for they are commercial. How foolish it would be to throw away everything by changing current zoning and let the monetary desires of the few ruin the fabric that has been created by so many.
If this were allowed in an LDR1 and there was a homeowners association, that homeowners association could enact whatever rule they wanted for their homeowners association. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. I just wanted that clarification.
Okay. The thing that I'm concerned the most about is that I'm hearing a lot of fear of the other, and that very much concerns me. That there's this idea that seems to be kind of permeating the city that others outside of Rexburg are scary. That if they're coming from California or across the world, that they must be scary people. And I just want to say that that is not true. There are good people all over this world. And I think that it doesn't do much for our own image as a city if we are fear-based in our welcome to people who might have different ideas than us, people who may have different opinions than us, people who may not live exactly like we are. If we have fear of them instead of being opening and welcoming, that concerns me. That wow, how can I not learn and be flexible from other cultures and ideas and languages? And I will just say that I am a neighbor who has had somebody who rented out their whole house across the street from me and had many people come. I live across the street, and not one time in the time that this person rented out their house with dozens of people did I have a noise complaint or felt like these people were out of control because they were right across the street from me.
You aren't just making a decision on Airbnb, you're making it on people who want to have the home-based business, me, the community citizen.
And I understand zoning very well. And I understand that zoning does limit what we can do with our properties. It always has. It's to protect us from our neighbor doing something that is just outlandish, that is totally intolerable. So we do limit uses of property, and rightfully so. The question is whether we should change zoning at this time to allow short-term rentals. I personally would not like to see that in my neighborhood, but at the same time, I know that my friends feel differently than I do, and I can respect that with all my heart.
I think part of the thing that we need to consider as we listen to this a little bit is what a significant change this would be for our entire community. what we're hearing now mostly is pros and cons of the two neighborhoods where this has become a problem. And when Tisha talks about it's not zoning, it's ordinance, if the change was made into the ordinance to allow anything different, it doesn't just affect you guys' neighborhood. You say there's a small amount of LDR1 in Rexburg, but actually there's quite a bit. And that affects every single one of those neighborhoods, not just your neighborhood. And I think that we need to really take that into consideration as a community, because most of you here, honestly, tonight are from these neighborhoods that, you know, that we've heard the pros, we've heard the cons. And so it is our mission to represent the whole community, the whole city, and do what's best for them. So I think we need to take that into consideration as we listen tonight to make sure of the feeling of the whole community, not just Indian Hills, not Sherwood Hills, you know, not my neighborhood. So I think that we need to keep that in mind as we go forward tonight, that really we have heard pros and cons, and that if this ordinance is changed, it is a significant change for our city. It makes a big difference on our city.
Mr. Mayor, can we just have Natalie really quick, I don't want to stop this discussion, put up a zoning map, and what we're talking about is the low residential one neighborhoods. If we can just see where those are really quick. So are they by color, Natalie?
They are. They're the very lightest color of yellow.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of scroll around on the screen a little bit.
So that's where they're not allowed right now.
Yeah. A lot of it on the hill there.
Our LDR2 is just in high residential. Thank you.
Is there any other?
I want to be able to support my family. I want to be able to give like you have given. And being a mother, besides taking my kids to daycare, which I know that many of you didn't have to do, there's not many opportunities besides finding a business at home. And Airbnb is a perfect solution. I want to work like you work. I want to be able to teach my children to work. I want to be able to show them that they can give back to the community like so many of you have done. And that is why I support Airbnb, because it gives so many that are struggling right now to support their families the chance to do just that.
Oh, and now there's this big opposition that we can't let them run these businesses at home, but they can do daycare, and they can do piano lessons, and they can put together scrapbooking kits, and they can do all these other things, but not Airbnb, and it doesn't make sense. The problem is there have been a couple of incidents that have been the abuse of the system, and it's catalyzed all this opposition. And there's a middle ground where you can say, look, make it so they got to live in their home. They can't be absent when they're renting out a home. That takes care of 90% of the problems that people have. Make it so they've got to park off the street, and then they don't have to worry about driving down the street with a car on the side of the road and whatever else. I mean, these issues, everyone's arguing for this different things, and there's a middle ground that satisfies every single one of these.
I believe most of the ordinances are already in place, and I think that's been made clear tonight. I hope the city council and zoning people can work this out where it won't be too much of a hardship on a lot of people. I think that after all is said and done, you need to keep in mind the recent Supreme Court ruling, which, as I understand it, indicates it's permissible to have people in charge for that service.
These people that have chosen to do this, why didn't they do their research to find out if they were even able to before they did it? Why do they know the city ordinances now, but they didn't know that Airbnb on the website says make sure you know your city ordinances? And I'm just, like I said, if someone were to ask me to vote today, I honestly don't have an answer. I don't know what I'd vote. So I'm not speaking for one or another, but I'm watching this experience tonight, and I'm watching people quote city ordinances that are in their favor, but didn't realize that they should have been doing the Airbnb in the first place. So that's kind of troubling to me.
Council people were contacted, and they were told that it was okay.
Okay.
Okay, time out. We have to limit the conversation coming back and forth so that we can hear everybody. So are you
sure done? So I'm just speaking as an observer who came tonight to find out what people had to say.
And that's what
I saw. And that's what I'm seeing is a little bit of conflict on each person's argument, not knowing they had their arguments for what they wanted, but didn't quite seem to know what they should have known before they started on both sides.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question to follow up, just from a comment from the audience? Mrs. Lemon, you said that council members were approached and they gave them permission. Can you enlighten us on that?
I talked with someone who did do Airbnb, and if that person wants to speak up, they can, but I know that they had a conversation with the council person and they said, we believe that there is no ruling on it right now, that you're fine to do it. So people did reach out and they did try to find out if it was okay for them to do.
Well, there has been some misinformation going around, that's for sure. But we're trying to clear that. That's what this is all about.
For the record, I just wanted to know, I was never contacted. And the first time I saw Airbnb, I thought it was a mistypo. I didn't even know what it was. And so, just for the record, I've never been contacted on this information prior to this happening. So.
Okay, thank you.
But I want you to keep the zoning how it is, and if they want to have Airbnbs, buy a house where it's zoned.
I feel very, very strongly that we need to have residential areas and that we need to have zoning as it is for single families. If we allow Airbnb or others to come in, that's going to come in and it's going to affect all of Rexburg. The people that are doing that right now are admitted, yeah, they're breaking the law. Love Brother Filkinger, but that's been breaking the law for the last 2 years. Are we breaking our city ordinances and our city laws because our neighbors don't know what's going on? I just feel like we have to be very, very strong and that we have to stand up for our neighborhoods and we have to protect them. And this is America's community. We need to protect it.
Have people try to come together and maybe cooperate? I don't know what the right answer is. I have no interest. I hope it goes because I will spend a night at the Flukinger just so I can have a breakfast.
Point here tonight is that the money that is earned from the Airbnb individuals, the hosts, the money that comes in from that, it does not necessarily go to Idaho Falls or wherever. It stays in Rexburg.
And that's being said to me, like what this was said to my husband, that we are evil infesting the neighborhood, like gay marriage infesting the church. I don't know why that hurt me. It wasn't just something I could just rub off. It hurt my soul. And it makes me sad that the person that said that has been my neighbor for 14 years. It makes me sad that I have felt more love from a person coming in to stay in my home for an overnight visit than from him. And that's a harsh thing to say. That's a really harsh thing to say. Please don't shut it down. I guess I do feel like I'm different because I have that conditional use permit. So I have the question of, can I rent long-term or rent short-term? That is the question for me. And I can rent long-term. And the crazy thing is, if I can't continue this, I can legally move out of my home and rent it as a duplex. And my neighbors can't stop that. It's true. That's what would happen. So you don't want it to turn into a rental, but guess what? That's what will happen.